Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on UppTalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say UppTalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you are new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
The hire, take an example as hire. When employee is getting hired in the system. In general scenario, whatever we'll be seeing, what are all the steps that employee will be going and are hiring in. Forget about business process, but in general scenario, when hiring an employee, what are the things that needs to be considered when hiring an employee? Compensation has to be provided to employee, right? When employee is getting hired, salary has to be mentioned in the system. And if employee has any kind of joining bonus or sign-on bonus or any other special bonus that needs to be assigned to that employee in the system. And if there are any stocks, if that employee belongs to director or senior director or president, vice president, and as per the organization policy, that organization has stocks assigned to that employee. That stocks needs to be assigned to that employee in the system. And making employee to enter all the personal information like ID identification number and date of birth, gender, marital status. All these things has to be entered in the system. That will be performed by an employee because personal information has to be handled by employee. And finally, getting employee into the system. Once all these activities are completed, employee will be completing the higher business process. Whatever steps that I've defined are part of the higher business process. When you configure these steps, you'll be seeing employee getting hired after performing all the steps according to the sequence. Till now you have done a hiring that doesn't have any kind of business process steps. And that is the reason why you are not able to perform hiring. You are not able to see any kind of steps. But in actual scenario, in general scenario, you'll be having a business process, steps that will allow you to go through the transaction in a sequence. In a sequence, you'll be going and you'll be hiring an employee. Business process is nothing but which allows you to execute the transaction as per the order that you have configured. And every business process is whatever you generally see a task in front and in search bar is obviously a business process in the background. You would have created a position. You would have created a position right with single create position giving your title of the position, hire date and all and submit it. Position would be created. But in the background there is a business process. If you wanted to add any steps, if you wanted to add any steps, add any kind of approvals to that one. And if position is getting created, the hiring manager has to approve that one. Until unless approval takes place, position should not be created. Such kind of validation rules you can add in the business process. And similarly, you can write some conditions also. If position is getting created, if it is great, if it is above vice president, then approval has to be there. If it is below vice president, there should not be any approval. Such kind of things, all validations, all the business process steps you will be configuring as part of each of the business process that is there in work time. Like that, we have loads of business process that are available under each module. What we will be covering in this business process concept. We will try to know what business process does and how you can add multiple steps to the business process and how to add conditions to the business process. These are all the things that we are going to learn. And also there is some security will be involving business process security policy, which is one of the area in the security. We will also cover that security related to business process in this concept. Before I go to tenant and show you the features and show you the options of the business process. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Cannot create a new business process, you'll just go to the task called create business process. Create business process definition, default definition. You select this and you'll need to pick the business process from the list. That is the only thing that you can do, but you cannot create any new business process task which is not in the list. You need to use the same which are there in the list. Other than this, will not have an option to create your own business process or define something in as per your thing for the business process that you wanted to create. All those things are not available. You can make is it? All the business processes are available after joining the company. Also that, for example, if it is something related to land, if it is something related to our policy, all the business related are available in this. Each of the module learning, you're saying how using benefits, using payroll, recruiting, every module has the business process. If a employee applies to the job and undergoes interview assessment, the background check, reference check, and once all these steps are completed, employee will be hired. All these are business processes that we have in Workday, and every transaction that happens in Workday goes through business process. And when you're actually creating, business process, when you're actually implementing the module, you'll be making a list of business process that are required for you and for your business needs. You'll be identifying the business process and you'll go to create business process definition, pick that business process and make the changes, add steps, add conditions to that as per your needs and get to that business process work according to your business requirements. Now let's say all the business process that we have seen here and all already created. You'll not be finding one. The business process is already created. You'll not find that in the list. Let's say higher business process is already there in the system. That's the reason why you're able to hire an empire. They will not pick the list. You'll not seeing that in the list because that is already created. And create position also will be already there in the system. Is there? You will not be seeing that. all the major business process that we were discussing, like create position, job requisition, and hiring an employee, all those are already created. You just need to see how those works. The reason why I'm showing here this case, you'll be getting into this screen to create the business process and add the steps that you wanted to have. Let's say I'll take one random business process to show you how you'll be first doing this. You can see if there is anything related to her. I'll select randomly. I'm not creating anything. I'll just show you the features and options of the business process. I have selected a business process called Change Primary Academic Plan Event. And there is something related to one of the other module that is not as part of a team, might be something related to student module. Considering this as a kind of an example for business process to understand. Once we create a business process, you'll be seeing a default business process like this when you wanted to perform any kind of task related to academic plan. Since there are no steps automatically, the moment you actually create that academic plan and submit, it will be getting created as how you put done. Hiring, right? Hiring also will be similar to this. Let me go to the hiring. That would be easy for you to understand. Other than this, let me go to the hiring business process. Since we have created the hire business process specific to our organization, I'll try to pick the business process that I've created when I hired an employer in the organization. We should start it straight. What Yoshi? I can add some steps and show you how it excludes. I can add some steps and show you how it is. What is the harmony? I think we have created Robert Williams, not a meat. I can add some steps and show you how it is. I can add some steps and show you how it is. And get them into the system as part of the organization. But generally, higher business process will have lots of steps according to the requirements. Might be, we will be proposing compensation. We will be proposing some kind of different actions to that one. Generally, default business process will be like this. You'll be editing the business process definition. Let's do this. Let's do this. This business process from effective date of 16/2022 has added these business process steps. I'll remove this one and we'll do this again. If you see the order that we are seeing here, the order that we are seeing here is a kind of sequence. This is how we want it to have. Your business process has to execute. You need to go. You can go with alphabetical order. You can go with numerical order. Anything that you can go. But a sequence has to be defined for each business process. If you are not able to give any sequence or any order number, your business process will throw an error that you need to specify an order of the business process. Once you have that, he'll be mentioning what action this business process has to execute. What action this has to execute in this business. Let's say if I add, I'll be giving RRB and what type of action that you want it to perform. If it's just an action, there are multiple types of actions here. One is action. When you select an action, you need to specify the task on which action has to be performed. An approval on any of the action. If there is any approval that is needed, you will be adding an approval. Approval chain. Approval chain. When you add an approval chain, you will be adding multiple security groups in that approval chain. And if you wanted to have multiple people to approve, in that you'll be adding multiple security groups and multiple people will be approving that one. And you have something you need to remember, something here. When you add an approval step here, when you add an approval step, Let's say the security group would be something like HR operations at Bridgestone. Someone who is part of HR operations at Bridgestone has to approve this one. Then this will be proceeding to next step. If, let's say, 10 members are there as part of HR operations at Bridgestone Security Group, and if you go with the steps, automatically those 10 members will be getting a notification to the inbox to approve this task. What is the task? We have not added, but generally, in general, for you to understand and say, when you add an approval step, all the people will be getting a notification. And anyone who takes an action on that, the task will be moving to next step. If you are not selecting all options here, anyone who is part of the security group should be able to take an action. If you are selecting all, if there are 10 members who are part of the security group, all the 10 people should be taking an action. Even one person is not taking it. I mean, if we are creating the group which we have selected and we have not unchecked with the all. By default, all the people will get the mail that they have to approve this step. And if I'm selecting the all the people will get the mail that they have to approve it. All the people should approve this. If you are not checking this one, anyone can approve and can proceed to next step. If you are checking this step, everyone who was part of the security group, everyone who has received the notification, they have to take an action. Mostly, you'll be working on this kind of request. An action step. You'll be specifying what action has to pay for now. Whether it is you need to add a probation period or add a compensation. What's the pass to be triggered? You'll be defining that. You'll be getting this kind of request from your business. Where is proposed compensation? Proposed compensation. Whenever you are hiring an employee, the first thing that you need to do is you need to define a compensation for an employee. What is the compensation that has been offered to an employee? You will be assigning that compensation component to the employee profile in the system because you need to know what compensation has been offered. Is that right compensation that is being offered as per the offer letter that has been issued? You will be adding a business process step, proposed compensation. Generally here, compensation or HR will be there. And once HR assigns the compensation, it will be going to approval. Approval to generally compensation, administrator will be there who will be approving this compensation. Amir, we have a while hiring any employee, we have a hiring rate for each role designation. Now, if I'm mentioning the proposed compensation higher, I want to mention it also if the proposed compensation is go beyond that my hiring rate, it is showing stretch. And if it is showing stretch, it will go to approval for specific person. Can I mention the thing also? Every position that highest in the system goes on the compensation range actually. If you're getting hired under a Workday developer, senior developer, whatever range that has been defined for that position, you will be going in that range. If it is 15 lakhs to 20 lakhs is the range defined for a Workday developer position. The compensation that is assigned to that employee for that position should be within this range. But if it is beyond that range, you cannot go. You cannot go above the range. If you wanted to go, you need to define new compensation range. If you wanted to go outside of that 20 lakhs, you cannot assign compensation to an employee within that range that you have configured to that position. You need to create or you need to update the existing grade. Every position or every job that you create in the system that will be assigned with compensation grade. Grade is nothing but range of the compensation. If the grade is assigned with 15 lakhs to 20 lakhs for Workday developer, your recruiter, when recruiter is discussing with the candidates to make an offer, that compensation has to be within this 15 to 20 lakhs. If it is going outside of 20 lakhs, the compensation grade has to be there and another approval needs to be there. A grade needs to be assigned. If the grade is assigned to 15 to 20 lakhs, the compensation has to be in between this range. If it has to go up or if it has to go down, it cannot be happening once the grade is assigned to that employee. It has to be within the range. That range is also I can define in according to my business process. It's not a business process. I'm sorry. Compensation grade definition is not a business process. You create a grade. And if it is, for senior developer, if it is 15 to 20 lakhs, you'll assign that grade. And you'll be attaching this grade to the job profile. Whatever position that you're getting hired, right, you'll assign that to job profile. I think I think probably when you're creating a position, you shouldn't have selected that option. But when you're creating a job profile, you have an option to select a compensation grade, which actually defines the range of the compensation for that particular job. You can define however you want. Once that is defined, you cannot go beyond or less of that range action. But in our organization now, we generally give whatever the max hiring rate. We provide that more than that amount. And then we need a stretch for that. That's what I'm checking that we can calculate the stretch also. I don't know what stretch that you mean to say. That means, for example, for one position, maximum hiring rate is 5 lakhs. But we are providing them 6 lakhs. There is a stretch of 1 lakh money in percentage. 1 lakh amount and there's a stretch more than what is hiring rate we have. There's a stretch of cases. In compensation, there are multiple components, are there? The base pay is defined as 5 lakhs. For that job profile, you'll be giving base pay as 5 lakhs. And if you wanted to go beyond that, there are multiple other components are there. Bonus is there. Alliance is there. Special alliance is there. Sign-on bonuses. A lot of other components also are there. If you wanted to add extra to that one, you can go with that, bonus components and all. But whatever base pay that has been defined under that job profile, the compensation grade that has to be the same. It should not be more than that. It's not been less than that. It should be between the trade or to the top. It is defined as 5 lakhs. It has to be 5 lakhs. If the grade is, the sign-on bonus is provided. Is that a separate one? No, just understand the concept. I got it. It has to go with the grade. You need to define a grade and the compensation has to be within the grade. But every job that you create before the position is getting high, compensation team will be creating the compensation grades, which are specifically for compensation ranges. your organization using Workday or not. Then we have an internal tool. Then there is a difference, right? It's not that something has to be compared with Workday. But once the Workday remains the same, I mean every organization follows. Every organization, system, they will be different. Do you have compensation grade profile your organization tool has? Yes, compensation grade ways, where we have implement every role, designation, compensation, max, mini, and if it is go beyond, what is the stretch percentage? And based on that, whose approval is required? Everything we have an internal tool. Then what is the meaning of the grade that you create if it is going whatever you are specifying? And sometimes, based on that candidate's profile, he has a more experience. He has a more experience. That I understand. That I understand. If you are giving 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs as a compensation grade and if you are offering 12 lakhs as a base pay, then what is the meaning of the grade there? You are updating your grade or you are going with just 5 to 10 lakhs and you are making 12 lakhs as an offer. Again, it comes from the recruiter. No. I'm asking the concept. Let it come from recruiter, let it come from candidate. If the grade is defined as 5 to 10 lakhs, and if you are making 12 lakhs, what is the meaning of the grade that you have created now? We want to hire that person. Now that is already have a 10 lakh package. We have to offer more than that. Then the position has to be defined right. If you are actually hiring multiple levels of position, there will be multiple grades you need to create. For senior developer, there will be different grade. If you are hiring, then the recruiter will be looking for the candidate in between this compensation. If 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs is defined, and if you are looking for 15 lakhs candidate, that doesn't make sense, right? I understand you are that right. Generally, that's how it works in Workday. Any recruiter who is actually hiring an employee, they will be first checking the job grade and will be looking for the candidate with this salary. If it is going, if candidates are not available in this salary and candidates are not getting under the salary range, they will be coming back to compensation team. We are not getting the candidates for this position between 5 to 10 lakhs. If they are expecting 12 to 13, then the compensation team will update that grade from different component to different component. Then that can be, hiring can be taken between this range. But if you are creating 10 to 15 lakhs and the candidate experience is 17 lakhs, if in the same range, if you are going for 17 lakhs, it will not work in Workday. Whatever range that has been defined, hiring has to happen within that range. And as part of promotion, as part of this thing, internally the compensation grade can change, can be employed, can be moved from one position to another position to that relevant compensation range. Ranges are very important in Workday. Within that range, no compensation has to be defined. I can define this range as per my role designation, as per my hiring rate. Whenever you are creating a position, a job profile has to be associated to that position. When you are creating one job profile, the recruiter will be creating this. You will not create this. A recruiter creates the job profile with the job description, job level, job classification, and job responsibilities. We also need to mention the compensation grade to that. When he defines the compensation grade to that one, let me show you that grade also. When he defines that one, his hiring should be within that range. It should not be less than or greater than that range that has been defined. And probably we will discuss more in our compensation concept, but this is a straightforward thing. We cannot go beyond the range that has been offered, that has been created for the employee in the system for the position, not an employee for the position in the system. In future might be possible that Workday can use this change. No, why you are expecting the change here? No, because tomorrow, if organization has changed, they need to the simple concept you are not understanding. If candidate is expecting more, they need to update the range. That's the thing that they need to do. Why are you expecting, without updating the range, compensation can be offered more. It has to be with the range, right? It has to sit within the range. If something has to be offered, then what you have defined is just update the range. Relax has to be offered, just update the range. But sometimes, if I change the range, it will reflect for every candidate who is going to be that role designation. Yes, that has to be there, that we don't want. We just want that a particular person who are coming for this role designation, we are offering what we have. No, those exceptions are not there and will not be considered also because it's a kind of compliance issue. Compensation is a kind of compliance issue. But we have that. We have a process that they need to take the approval from SOH. We're offering it or VP and AVP for stretch polls basis. Even here in company, in Workday also, there are approvals for compensation. But all the compensation has to sit within the compensation grade that you have created. If something has to be gone outside of that grade, you just need to update the grade. That's it. Or create a new job profile to that one and attach a new grade to that. That's the only thing that you can do. Even Workday can do that. Thank you. Whenever the position, let's say this position has 6,000 to 8,000 and the recruiter will be taking the same range to the candidate. And the minimum has to be 6,000 and maximum has to be 8,000. Maximum has to be a 10,000 and in between that you have a lot of segments. It can be 7,000 as a kind of segment and to 8,000 is a kind of a midpoint. They can actually quote and segment 4, 9 maximum can be 10,000. If candidate is expecting the 11,000 or 12,000, this grade will not suffice for that one because you have graded this grade for Workday developer. If that position is expecting more than 10,000, you need to come back to compensation team. The candidate is expecting more than 10,000 and it is not sitting under the range that we have created. Then compensation team might say upgrade the range from 12,000 max and assign to that candidate. That can happen. But if you are giving 10,100 as a kind of maximum segment, and if you are offering 12,100, which is not sitting in this range, that will not work actually. Even Workday cannot make this change in future. That does not make sense actually. But in our company, they have this kind of process. Forget about it. It's not a system that it has to work as well. It has to be there as per the other system. It will not work in Workday. In this compensation grade, what is the role designation for this? You can create anything. You can create a job profile for Workday developer and assign this compensation grade to any of the things. There will be a kind of market pay, kind of standards. Every organization will be following the company. And as per that, if Workday senior developer has market range from 20 to 25 lakhs that compensation team has defined, they will be creating a senior developer job profile and attach the compensation grade between 20 to 25. If it is going more than 25, compensation grade has to be updated or stop taking the candidate in that range. That's the thing that mass can happen. Other than that, you cannot do anything. Because everything is a kind of range that we will define, and whatever you define here in the employee compensation profile, you will be seeing that range. Range is not specific to employee, it is specific to position action. And position we are creating when we are hiring an employee. And if there are any kind of exceptional cases, there are many ways to actually handle those things other than base pay. You can go for the alliance, you can go for bonus, you can go for multiple bonus. Components are there. You can attach those bonus components and assign that additional compensation that you wanted to offer to an employee. But the base pay that you are defining it has to sit within the range actually. I think we discussed more on this. That's a kind of straightforward concept. There is no change. Even Workday will not take it as a kind of request because that does not make sense if it is going outside of the compensation grade. I was talking about adding the business process and actions, how you can take right. Jason, let's make sure that we are executing the best time on this procedure. Thank you. Thank you. When you create a business process definition, we'll be adding multiple steps. As I've shown you, you can actually add a sequence and add multiple steps with different actions and you can define an approval step. However you want it to have. If you wanted to maintain an approval step, you can mention the approval steps in a specific security groups. And this business process has an option to actually trigger some jobs also. Background check. Background check integration will be there where you'll be developing an integration. And that takes care of sending all the candidate information to external system. If you wanted to automate that process, rather than manually triggering the integration, you can actually attach that integration to business process. And that business process will take care of running that integration in the steps that you have configured. Let's say candidate, if you're hiring an employee, step A, initiate the hiring process, and step B, you'll be going to be the proposed compensation. And step C, adding a sign-on bonus, and step forward, adding a personal change information and the personal information change has been changed. You'll be adding a step code integration. And as per the sequence, when the business process is executing, after executing the certain steps A, B, C, D, and in whichever step that you have added the integration, your business process will run integration in that step and it will be integrating the data from Workday to external system. Business process can also run the jobs. It can run integrations, it can run reports, it can run any other jobs that you will be configuring in the system. It can automate data integration as well. Such kind of things you will be doing whenever you have a kind of integration that has to run automatically through the business process completion step, whichever step that you wanted to have your integration to trigger. After which step you can actually control that in the business process definition. And here you see write due date. Whenever you are defining due date as 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, that task, whatever sitting in that particular employee's inbox, will be waiting for 4 days as a kind of due date. If you are specifying a due date as 4 days and it will be sitting 4 days in the employee's inbox. And if you can't figure reminders also, you can actually configure reminders to send a note that the task is sitting in your inbox. You need to take an action. Such kind of configuration you can make. And after the due date, after 4th day, automatically whichever step you have configured for that group will be sent to that manager's manager. Let's say I am configured as a kind of Workday HR's administrator and I'm not responding within the due date. Automatically system will take my managers as a kind of next step after due date. Automatically system will send a notification to my manager saying that this has not been actioned from 4 days and it has to be actioned since it has completed the due date. Automatically the default feature that comes into the picture when it has not action within the time. That's about the due date. That's about the due date and complete. You can actually complete. You can actually configure complete step wherever you want it to have. If you wanted to complete the step and background check step, you can actually define that step as complete when you have actually marked that complete as yes. A complete business process steps that you will be configuring as per your organization requirement. Your organization, when you're implementing Workday, your business will be giving you a kind of requirement as how you want it to proceed your business process, that is hire or position, or when employee moves from one position to another position, job change, promotion, as how your organization wanted to execute the business process as per the standards meeting the business requirements. You will be configuring the business process in such a way to execute properly. And you can also send a notification on completion. Let's say employer has got hired your ITT, who actually creates email accounts, who actually creates a Active Directory account. They wanted to be notified or an employee getting terminated. They wanted to remove account from Active Directory system, right? In order to send notification to that kind of areas, you can actually configure notification. And after completion of hire, if you wanted to send a notification, you can send the notification to whichever group that you wanted to have. You can send to individual email, you can send to DL, you can send to any other email. That notification has to be triggered. Notification will notify the status of the task. Mostly any automatic notification that will be requested by business will be configured in notification staff for each of the business process. If your HR wanted to know, I wanted to know all the employees who are getting terminated. I need to get an email with the date of their termination, employee name of the term who is getting terminated, and their resignation date, and their manager's date, their department. All these things HR will be expecting. Such kind of notifications you'll be configuring in the business process notification. And the moment hire completes or the moment terminate completes or terminated treaty office to run with Ebola, even when it triggers, HR will be getting a notification out. Thank you. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.